Benny's gonna start working for Heisenberg by accident.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Heisenberg is.
What?
Ever watch
Breaking Bad?
You never watch Breaking Bad, dude?
No, dude. I've honestly
What?
I know. I'm embarrassed. I haven't watched Breaking Bad.
Dude,
and
this is a thing. This is a thing I'm seeing. Like, this is a podcast trend. People are admitting like embarrassing things that they kind of just like pretended. Like, oh, I saw Breaking Bad. My similar thing is I never watched Mad Men, which I feel like maybe was
Me
a little
neither.
bit. Dude, I tried. I didn't try hard, but I did try. So we could do a Breaking Bad, because we're welcome, listener. This is episode 184 of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. The Beavs got eliminated from the College World Series this week, and everything is fucking stupid.
And we're Mad Men Breaking Bad.
And we're Mad Men Breaking Bad things. Two perfect shows to open this with, but
perfect show with,
we're probably gonna take a little bit of a break. We will be doing episodes reacting to realignment news and other things of that nature, but I think we've deserved a little bit of time. But a funny thing could be in lieu of episodes would be all of us, like JP, you and I, rewatching Breaking Bad, along with Benny watching Breaking Bad for the first time, and we could maybe just have an episode in the middle of summer where we talk about Breaking Bad. And
I remember somebody,
a great show.
Somebody was telling me, they're like, "Oh, I just felt like I needed to take a shower after watching each episode. It was just so dark and dirty," and I was like, "That." You're making me want to watch this show, and I just never got around to it.
Well, it's one of those. It is a difficult binge watch because it's stressful. Not every single episode, but a lot of the really good episodes are like, I'm not super eager to watch this again. Or I'm not super eager to, not in a way that's like, oh, that like it means it's like bad or anything, but it's like, it's intense. Yeah. It's like not like you find yourself on the edge of your seat and you're like, wait a minute, when did I stop lying down on the couch? Now I'm like on the fucking floor. We just lost JP. That's how stressful it is. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't even handle talking about it.
The problem is that there's just way too many good shows that are coming out. And honestly, like my kryptonite, or what gets me, is all these new Netflix documentaries that come out. I am such a sucker for new Netflix documentaries. I kind of am
too. I don't want, I hate it when people say, so hot take, and then they just say something pretty pedestrian. I don't think this is much of a hot take, but it is something that got some pushback. The Netflix sports documentaries, the most recent ones, mostly the Untold series, are fun watches. They are not great documentaries.
I agree. Which was the most recent one?
They're all
Untold?
Fall of Favre.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I had a good time with, but some of them, the main one is this doesn't apply to Fall of Favre, but like the Connor Stallions one, like that shit just happened, and I think this is just society today. Something happens and it's like, let's make a documentary about it. And I think of all of the best 30 for 30s. Each one had probably about 20 years or more of time between when it happened to now that allowed people, not just like, oh, like things were better in the 80s, but it was like, it was people like our age who grew up and like spent time thinking about this. And there was like perspective to it, where like the Stallions documentary was just like, let's immediately talk about why this is so newsworthy. And the Favre one felt like just, I don't know, they talked about his dick pics for a really long time. And I thought Jen Sturger told a great story, a heartbreaking and unfortunate story. But they spent only like 10 minutes on Favre's like welfare fraud. And I'm like, that's kind of a big part. Like, this should be a 4-episode documentary about the rise and fall, rather than just 75 minutes.
I think that's part of the problem with the Untold series is that they do one documentary that's like an hour long that covers a story that could be broken out into 4 different 1-hour episodes, which when I see a new Netflix documentary that's like episode 1, oh, I'm so in for it. Yeah.
This wasn't coming out with a lot now too. We just watched the Titan submersible documentary.
Oh, about,
you know, speaking of, hey, this happened in 2023. Let's make a documentary in 2025. But I did enjoy it. It was like 2 hours long. But
Stockton Rush, not a great guy.
The documentary does not paint him as one.
No. One documentary, I watched this last night and would recommend any of the listeners to watch it. I forget what it's called, but it's about the Toronto mayor who got caught smoking crack while he was in office. Do you remember this story?
Are you not allowed to smoke crack while you're in office?
Says who? People had a problem with it. Yeah, it's one of those where it should have been longer, but it was a great watch.
Wait, so what happens to somebody that gets caught smoking crack while in public office?
Is he still the mayor?
Surprisingly, no, he got ousted as the mayor because he smoked crack, and there was a video of it. But then he got
was he ousted or did
elected.
He resign?
Well, he resigned, but due to public pressure,
he was forced to resign.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
But then he got elected as a city council member after that. So the dude is great at campaigning. I have to give it to him.
That's like it's crazy. I don't know. Like at some point you reach an age where you realize just like politics and public officials, it's the same cadence as like the NFL coaching cycle where teams are just recycling the same offensive coordinators who didn't work in like 6 other franchises, but like this time it's going to happen. Like Josh McDaniels will be coaching one of our teams again, like this time 2 years from now. And it'll be like, this is why it's time that it makes sense for Josh McDaniels as head coach now. I'm not saying Josh McDaniels ever smoked crack, but it's just,
But maybe you never know. The only thing I think of when I hear Josh McDaniels' name is when he took the head coaching job of the Indianapolis Colts, and then hired a bunch of people who left their jobs, and then last minute was like, nah, never mind, I'm gonna go back.
Billy Donovan did the same thing with the Magic in like 2005.
Did he?
Yeah. He just got cold.
Was that right after he was? That was right after he was University of Florida's head coach?
Yeah, we may have been in college at that time.
Interesting.
And then I think he just went right back to college as JP went right back out of the Zoom. This is going to be a hell of an episode for him to edit, but it's not our fault. We're here, you and I, Benny.
Yep.
It's Arnold, California. I smoked pot with Arnold, California.
Yeah,
and
great pot down there.
While we're waiting for JP, I'm gonna use that as a segue. So that's the running bit, which is of course originated in the cinematic masterpiece Step Brothers, when Will Ferrell asks, "Where did this guy go to college again?" And his mom said he went to Northwestern and Johns Hopkins. Is that good enough for you? And he said, "No, it's not." And I smoked pot with Johnny Hopkins
and Sloan Kettering.
And it was Johnny Hopkins and Sloan Kettering, and they're blazing that shit up every day. So another version of this same bit, which I've also used on this podcast, is when someone says something that sounds like a name, but a little bit more eccentric of a name, like Vanilla Extract. And I'll say, I used to dance under Vanilla Extract, under the name Vanilla Extract. That's a running
both of
bit.
You guys are not showing up now.
I had to do that.
JP had to do that for quality. I'm showing up for myself. It's me and 2 blank squares.
Okay.
So that's probably what you're saying.
That's really what this podcast is just each of us with 2 blank squares.
So there'll be the video component might still work. But
Yeah.
so the wildfires in Canada happened recently, and so we had about a week. I think it was before there was like immediately after our wedding,
right?
Where we had like pretty shitty air quality for like a week, and me doing this bit outside of the pod in my day-to-day life. I think it's the only thing that my wife hates about me. And it's that I just do it too much. Anytime something sounds like a name I used to smoke pot with, I used to dance under, I used my nickname, whatever. We're watching this thing, and then like it's kind of like a local news like cut in where it's just like, hey, here's the weather for 2 minutes, and now back to whatever was on ABC or whatever. And the meteorologist goes like, so because of these wildfires, be careful, it's probably going to be a smoky Monday. And as I heard the two words smoky Monday, I grinned and turned, and within a second, Sam was like, don't. Fucking do not say you used to dance under the name Smoky Monday. And I was like, fuck, I've gotten so predictable in old age. But also, I did used to dance under the name Smoky Monday.
You can't stop
You guys
him,
were
Sam.
there.
How many times a day do you think you quote movies, Sarah?
Any movie or just any
movie.
quote? Probably. The average of all day, it's probably like 0.5, but
I find that.
How many of that 0.5 is Hot Tub Time Machine?
Dude, I mean,
Hot Tub Time Machine.
half of it. It's maybe a little bit more.
More than 0.5?
I think 0.5 is actually kind of a lot when you think of like, there are some days where you like might go through work or something and not really talk to that many people. And so who are you quoting movies to?
It's fair.
Yeah.
How many times do you think you've
lot.
quoted a movie to me and I'll laugh and then go, what was that from?
Like that's most of the
Mad
time.
Men.
Yeah.
It was from Breaking Bad.
No, it's not Mad Men.
You didn't see it? Oh.
And then another running bit in this house is me explaining bits to Sam from shows that I know she hasn't watched.
Meta bit.
And I'm like, this is what it means. And I'm like, at least this is like the most like harmless form of mansplaining, where I'm like, so in this one episode of The Office, Dwight does this. And I'm just obsessed with it. Like, I'm not trying
those I will always understand. The Office is one of those shows that's constantly playing in the background of my house.
Right. No, it's like,
doesn't it have its own channel?
It's like Comedy Central is like The Office half the time.
Yeah.
But I thought like what is it? Was it Peacock? Something has like a channel, and then it's like one of those like free TV channels, you know, like where you like don't have a cable or you don't have like a
Peacock
streaming box. But then there's like channels like baked into the TV, and you're like, what are these? It's like nonstop, like some
like,
Food Network competition channel, and like some Gordon Ramsay show, and then and then The Office.
The Office, and I think it's The Office Superfan episodes, which I actually haven't watched, but
they're good.
Are they? Okay.
There are some episodes that have quite a few scenes that were cut from the original episode. But whenever I turn my TV on,
deleted scenes that are incredible.
It's always what's that Repo show?
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
See, do you have a Samsung TV?
I do.
See, that's what ours does too. Every time we turn one of ours on, and it's always playing Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, always. Mine was on Hell's Kitchen for a long time. I don't know what happened, if we changed the channel or what, but yeah, Hell's Kitchen was always on.
Always on. It was like, and then if you accidentally turn the TV on,
no matter what time of day, yeah.
Sometimes it would come on by itself, and it would like we weren't even in town, and we'd be like, what is that sound on the cameras? And then it'd be like, it sounds like a TV is left on. And then we get home and Hell's Kitchen was still on, like
that's
left
the
on
ghost
in our
your
bedroom.
House.
Yeah, that's
probably the ghost in our house. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, dude, did I tell you guys we had the old owner come up to our house?
No,
well, kind of come to our house. Okay, so the guy who owned our house for like 50 years, 40 something years before he sold it to a developer and they flipped it. Anyways. Annie's coming home with the two girls. It's like middle of the afternoon, and she's out front of the house, and she's like, come upstairs. And I'm like, working. I'm like, why? She's like, I think the guy who owned her house is outside. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, let me go see. So I come upstairs. I'm looking at the front door windows. Like, no, but he's like walking along the sidewalk, like along the retaining wall, like kind of just looking at the house. And then finally, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the dude. So I go outside and I was like, hi, can I help you? He's like, oh, no, it's okay. And I was like, wait, are you Bill? And he's like, yeah, hi, I used to live here. I own this house. And anyways, I started talking to him, and then he clearly wanted to come and see the inside, right? And then so I'm like, you can come in if you want and show you around. And then it was cool. He was like telling me all about the house, like how he had it and what used to be there, what's not, whatever. But I was so close. I really, really, really wanted to ask him about the haunting stuff.
I'm surprised you didn't.
Well, because he started to get a little bit dark anyways. Like he was talking about how his daughter passed away right after he sold the house. And I'm like,
after he sold the house.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to ask.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, speaking of dead.
Is she here?
Does she peek through the windows at times?
Did any other of your kids die? Maybe in this house?
Did one of them die in this other bedroom because there was a little girl ghost that woke me up one night? It could have been your daughter, actually, now that I think about it. No, but it was weird. It was weird to like show a dude around his old house. Yeah, but also, man, I really, really wanted to ask him about all the ghosts. I did bring up, I was like, I've been documenting everyone who's lived in this house and trying to like have a record of every person that's, ever lived here. And he was like, oh, and I was like, do you have any photos of the house like from when you lived here? And he was like, no photos. I'm like, what?
Damn.
What's wrong with you? How do you have no pictures of when you lived in your house?
Real talk, you should talk to Sam. She did that for our house and like came up, found some like really fucking interesting things. Nothing about ghosts.
Oh, I found, dude.
Yeah.
I found super interesting shit, but also ties to like my hometown. I told you guys this, right? Like there was a guy who lived there and then all of a sudden like the deed changed hands, but the wife was still the same. But the wife, I think, inherited the house from somebody like a relative or her dad. And then what happened was the husband like ran off with their kid.
Wait, where did she get the deed?
What?
How did she inherit the deed? Just from...
I think that it was in her name and then in his name. And then they obviously split up. And then they, ended up getting the house in like the name of her and her new husband.
An Old West, like a game of backgammon situation. Like,
no, maybe
dice behind the house.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I wonder what ever happened to that guy who ran away from the house and ran away from his family. It took his son with him. I found him. He was in the San Mateo Daily Journal newspaper in like the early 50s, which at the time was probably I don't even know if it still exists. It might still exist, but it's a super small, like local paper in the peninsula. And it must have been even smaller then because he had died driving his car on Easter with his son in it, visiting his parents in Redwood City after visiting them for Easter and returning to his home in San Carlos.
Oh, weird.
And back then, San Carlos probably had like 2,000 people living in it. Yeah. If even. It had become a town like 20 years before that.
Yeah. Where did you like look to find this information? I am interested in knowing what the history of my house is.
It's all public record.
Yeah, a lot of you have to pay to access though, like newspapers.com, ancestry.com, so you can get like census documents, so you can get names of people at your address. Oh, and then you can like look up those names in local papers and figure out where they were. And then I just looked up this dude's name because I was just like, okay, what happened to him? And then entry in the San Mateo Daily Journal. He died driving a truck leaving his parents' house with his son on Easter, and then his son was like
what happened
4.
to his son?
He had to run back. He ran back to his grandparents and like told them that something was wrong with dad.
4?
What? How
Yeah.
did? So
Oh,
did he have
wow.
he had a heart attack or something like while driving the car?
Yeah.
Damn.
I know. And what are the odds of that? I'm like, oh, looking up ghosts in my house, and then this guy. What's weird? He like
also
bailed on his
lived
family.
in your parents' house.
Yeah, right. And he also lived in my hometown and died literally on a street that I like grew up and going on all the time. Who would have known?
There is some complex mystery here that you need to dig into.
I know. Should I do it for this episode?
There are too many dots matching here that need to
Should
be
I just
connected.
hijack this episode and make this a ghost podcast?
A paranormal podcast.
I think that's just what our podcast is becoming. Like, we're pretty close to this just being ghosts all the time.
Well, we have Ghosts of Omaha to talk about.
Oh, we do.
Yeah,
I mean, that is
good segue.
Benny, you keep giving me credit for segues, but you've really grown.
You've stolen the crown.
You've stolen the crown for sure. And we're at minute 22.
You're officially goated.
And if we're gonna commit to this being an hour-long episode, we should maybe talk about the Chanticleer in the room. And guys don't know what a Chanticleer is, but
I think it's a rooster, according to their.
And it wasn't crowing.
According to their logo.
Oregon State baseball back in Omaha, but not going to the final. The final nail in the coffin, a 7-6 loss to Louisville, Kentucky. The very same team we beat last Friday when things just seemed like, this feels like a team of destiny. It kind of has that aura, but it did not come to pass. And as it says in the show notes here, a good run, a damn good run. I'm very pleased with the on-field product, but it just kind of feels like we did not play our best baseball when it mattered most. And that is something that is kind of a double-edged sword mentally at this point, where I'm like, well, you know what? We didn't earn it. We didn't deserve it. But also I'm just thinking of the unforced errors and the way we shot ourselves in the foot. And if we just played a little bit cleaner, that we might be the team playing in the last game of the season. But we are not, and that sucks. But that shouldn't take away from how much fun this season was and how great it was to see us back there.
Yeah. I mean, it is an odd feeling making it to Omaha and not winning the whole thing. I think that's the second time that's happened.
Fourth total.
They're 3-2 in terms of winning championships.
05,
yeah,
13, 17, and now 25.
Yeah. I mean, that is still a damn good record when you make it to Omaha. But I think with this team, man, it's you play with fire too much. At some point, you're gonna get burned. And it was a fun ride with all of those sort of amazing moments and very close games and comebacks and backs against the wall. But at a certain point, that runs out. And I think what stuck out to me is how similar yet opposite the two games with Louisville were. Like, Louisville was the exact replica of Oregon State in that second game compared to the first game, and vice versa. That game played out almost identical. Or those games played out almost identical to each other. But with the game against Coastal, I mean, sometimes you just have to tip your cap to the pitcher. Like, their pitcher was amazing.
Yeah.
And
Jacob Morrison, he was out of this world that night.
Yeah, he pitched an incredible game. I was a little disappointed at how our defense played at times. I was a little disappointed with how the bats seemed to be quiet in Omaha, although they were kind of quiet with the exception of Game 3 against Florida State. They really seemed to cool off after the
after scoring
regional round.
1,000 runs in the regional.
Yeah, right. You would have hoped that some of that would have, trickled into the supers and Omaha, but unfortunately it didn't. Yeah. The pitching I thought was really good though, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, but the problem was what set the tone was always those first innings, and we never really had anything clean.
That's true. That is true.
And you could tell that put a lot of weight on the team.
I think Dax obviously was the most complete pitching performer.
Dax was
absolutely
great.
He was phenomenal.
I don't know. It's hard to analyze Ethan's performance against Coastal because he was having a hard time finding the zone, and it wasn't his best. But also, there was one earned run out of all that, and I think Aiva is going to be a high draft pick in a couple of weeks here, but that. We were walking out of the stadium, weird flex, but okay. I was there. But my dad said, he's like, I think they lost it on that first inning error. And it was the first play of the game. A ball hit right to Aiva, and he just, kind of
it changed his whole tone.
Airmailed it. And of course, the Coastal scores 3 runs in that inning, and that won the game. We didn't get to 3. And that just it felt like we were behind the 8 ball the entire game, and we had a couple of rallies, and the Beaver fans there were great, and Kleinschmidt battled back in a number of innings there, but it wasn't a game where he had his best stuff. At least that's how it felt. I haven't gone back and watched the film, but and then of course there
were nerves, but nothing got tempered by the first inning
went. And then
went.
Another few innings in the fourth, the ball just goes straight through AJ Singer's legs, and they score another run because of that.
And that would have been a double play to end the inning too.
So it was just kind of like Jesus. And that stuff happens. That's baseball. I think it's both not frustrating at all and a little bit frustrating that there's not a single thing to blame. It's just like I said at the beginning, we went to Omaha. We were one of the best 8 teams in the country, and we earned the right to get there, but we did not earn the right to play into the second weekend, and we only have ourselves to blame.
Well,
I mean, you just have to be firing all cylinders to make it to the second weekend in Omaha.
That's exactly what I was going to say is that you have to be playing your best baseball when you're in Omaha. And I think that the players and coaches would agree that Oregon State just wasn't playing their best baseball this last week.
No.
Unfortunately.
No.
But hey, listen, when you make it to Omaha and it's frustrating, I mean, I guess any team getting knocked out is frustrating, but for this to be a disappointment, you have a pretty good program if that's the case.
Oh, absolutely. So, I don't think this is anything to hang our heads about.
Yeah.
It's disappointing because I could envision that this team had a longer run in them.
They had the time.
Had they all been kind of moving in the same direction at the same time frame. I think that, Terry, was it you who said if they're going to make a run, it's going to be it's got to be somebody like an unsung person. That maybe that's for supers, but either way, they needed that, and they got it, but not in bunches. And typically, when they needed it, it was going to have to come in bunches. If there was too many innings, I think offensively that felt like, okay, well, the guys were depending on. Either didn't deliver or delivered just, enough, but nothing big. And now we need to rely on the guys who, aren't shouldering the burden of carrying this offense, especially. And we didn't get it out of them to cover for their guys. So I don't know. Everything kind of felt discombobulated, honestly, like when on the offensive side, especially, and then, some defensive blunders as well. But that happens when you're on that kind of big stage.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I just felt like
there's way too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there another
There's
error
way too many on both sides.
Aiva's?
Yes.
In the first inning against Coastal? I feel like Aiva had one, and then there was another one very shortly after, and it was just like you're putting your head in your hands, like what's happening here?
Yeah. Was that
we were walking guys? Like it was just.
It
should not have
struggling.
been as close as it was.
Yeah,
and part of that, to our credit, battled back and made some things happen. Easton got one to drive, and so did Gavin. And man, it just didn't all come together, and it kind of felt like and then the game against Louisville, the final game, which I don't think we deserved to win, but when we had it all knotted up again at 6-6, and it was just kind of like, this is what this team does. But then it's like, fuck, now we loaded the bases with no one out again, and I don't put this not ending in a national championship squarely on the bullpen, but we knew the bullpen was going to need to pitch pretty damn well if we wanted to make it to this weekend where this episode's coming out. And I don't think we put them in a good position. And it just, I think it just wasn't in the cards. And we could debate decisions to pull guys, leave guys, who to put in when, but I think all that would be pretty trite at this point. We had our squad. We went to Omaha with our squad, same squad all year, playing the fewest amount of home games in Oregon State history. And we put our cards on the table, and it resulted in, like you said, Ben, a damn good run, but not taking home the final pot. And no one in this program has any reason not to feel great about themselves, though I know they're still awfully disappointed right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a season to celebrate still. It's not a championship to celebrate, but it's a season.
Oh, I should grab the shirt that I got from I should be wearing that right now.
Ooh, yes.
I completely agree with you.
It's absolutely a celebratory occasion. Not right now. I wasn't like,
it is.
Oh, fuck yeah, let's go. We just lost, but I was really happy with Margar was there. We didn't link up because of just how crazy everything was. Omaha's great, by the way. If Beaver fans listening to this, fucking plan that trip. Just do it. And if Oregon State doesn't make it, then whatever. But just plan it. With the optimistic hope that's going to happen, because it's a great time. I ran into MVP listener D Sharp just on the street. We were walking by each other, and there's just a guy in a Oregon State shirt, Oregon State shorts, and an Oregon State bucket hat. So of course I'm like, "Go Beavs!" He said, "Go Beavs!" And then a second later, I just hear Terry. And I turned and I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I recognize your voice. And I was like, no way. He's like, yeah, D Sharp. And then I was like, oh yeah, for sure. We've met before. Good amount of B fans there. And it was a blast. And there's a lot of reverence for the Beavs in Omaha, like itself. A lot of what I wasn't really, I knew was kind of a thing. I wasn't totally prepared for it though. It's of course the LSU fans and the Arkansas fans who are drunk as shit, actually fun in a fun way. I was ready to meet the fans from other teams, but like there are so many locals who go. And
really?
Like, there's so much Nebraska pride at it. And a lot of people would like come up to me. They'd see my Beaver hat, my Beaver shirt. My dad bought a perfect, just like OSU College World Series dad polo the second we got there. And nice. They would be like, oh, like a dude like my dad's age would come up to me and be like, hey, that 06 team was like one of my favorite teams I've seen here. So just like a lot of people who go every year no matter what and just love college baseball, and a lot of their memories have great Beaver wins as part of it. So like that was a really cool thing to experience. Just have a random dude from somewhere in Nebraska bring up Darwin Barney because he remembers that 06-07 run. And that's part of his family, his friends, and what they do is they go to what was the Blatt and now the Chuck every year and see what madness unfolds. And, so it was cool that like people would stop you and like want to talk about older Beaver players and things like that. So just that's where I was like, all right, making it's similar to like a Final Four, where of course we all want that trophy at the end, but there is something to be said about like being here and like this weekend where it's like, turn on the first round of the Masters every year. And there's always like the segments on like the guys who are there for the first time and how much work goes in just to be getting to that first tee box at Augusta. This is the pinnacle. And man, I was very disappointed and sad. And what made it worse was I met a bunch of Coastal fans who are all cool as hell. And that made it harder. Because like I really wish it was like, and they're fucking assholes and I'm cheering for LSU so hard now. But yeah, it's a phenomenal experience. And it's the first time I actually realized that the first weekend of the College World Series every year always is Father's Day weekend. So I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of like a milestone day that you can like, all right, hey, yeah, just no matter what, next Father's Day, we're just gonna go to the first weekend of the College World Series and hope the Beavs are in it. But
so I have a question for you. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Canzano, I was listening to him and he was essentially saying that if you go to the Super Bowl or college football playoffs or really any professional sport championship, it feels very corporate and it's an experience, but it's an expensive experience and it's sort of sterile because of that corporate nature. And the College World Series is one of the few remaining sort of genuine experiences that you can get in a championship type setting. I don't know if you have anything to compare it against, but is that sort of what your feelings were?
Yeah, I would want to think on that a little bit, but like, and we sprung a little bit for like better tickets than just like the entry level to get in, just because the games that we knew Oregon State were playing in didn't kind of have that SEC price tag.
Yeah.
Like, there's a price for all sessions and then it's by the game, which actually in itself is kind of novel and more accessible than like most sporting events. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if they were like, oh, you have to buy like an all sessions pass or an all day pass for some exorbitant amount of money. But it's by the game. And if you wanted to go to that first game of the whole thing, that would have been Arizona Coastal, like $46 would have gotten you in the bleachers. And that's, currently. So there's a little bit of corporate tie, and I would love to hear from people who have gone to the College World Series because they did have an older, more classic stadium, the Rosenblatt, that isn't there anymore. There are several tributes to it around, and a new stadium, but also at the same time, it's like that stadium, the Chuck, I think the capacity is around like 28,000. And
did they build it on the site of Rosenblatt?
I think it's across the street. There's a multi-level bar and grill called the Blatt.
Showed that several times.
Street. Yeah. There's a lot of bars. And it made me think like, oh, I should come back for a Creighton basketball game because there's all these bars here and the Creighton basketball arena is across the street.
Interesting.
So yeah, and I know there's a weird amount of Creighton alums who live in Minneapolis. So I've like gone to official Creighton watch parties by accident just because I was like, oh, this place has a good like Bloody Mary bar on a Saturday, and there's 100 Creighton Blue Jays fans there, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a Jays fan for the next 2 hours.
I didn't know that there were that many Creighton fans out there.
There for basketball, they're kind of a one trick pony in that way. That's a men's basketball school and very little else. I agree with Canzano's take there. Of course, like you can find the corporatization of it. What was really funny, we were at a hotel that was like 4 blocks away, and there was kind of like, college students who are like the college student marketers for Red Bull set up like right outside, like where we had to walk by. We're like giving out Red Bulls or whatever. And at one point we took one. It was hot as fuck, and they had that giant cooler with all the Red Bulls. And my dad was like, I can't remember I don't know if I've ever drank an energy drink, but I just need something cold right now. So we both take one, we crack it, and we're walking 2 blocks further down towards the stadium. There's like a black tent, like a cornhole setup, a bar, and like some speakers. And then as we get closer, we see, this is a Monster Energy setup. And they were giving out like free fanny packs and free t-shirts if you turn in your Red Bull and like throw it on the ground. So there was like a lot of energy drink guerrilla marketing happening. So to say it's free of like corporate greed isn't entirely accurate, but it was
the Celsius truck there?
I don't know if I saw a Celsius truck.
Dude,
I've never had Celsius.
I have had one Celsius and I enjoyed it. It was good.
Is it better
Celsius
than Red Bull or Monster?
Yeah.
It's hell yeah.
It's like more reasonable.
It's like drinking
what do you mean more reasonable?
It's like drinking like a High Noon or like some other seltzer, but it's got like
it's more it's less
quality
sugar
energy.
Oh, I'm one of the few that actually likes the taste of Red Bull.
I kind of do too. Yeah. Yeah, don't get me wrong, but
I'm gonna go grab my Omaha shirt.
Somehow we got Celsius, and like we didn't realize that it was like, I thought it was like a vitamin drink, not like an energy drink, because it has all these vitamins listed in it, but then it also has like touring or something else in it. But we were letting Ev drink it, and I would drink them before.
Annie told me about this.
Yeah, I would drink them before coaching Little League games to just get like pumped up, and then we'd let Ev have some, and then we realized that it was like an adult energy drink.
Oh,
no alcohol, but still. And then I would still slip him some sips pregame, especially if he was pitching. But the difference, man. The difference in his play was day and night. It was like literally like a PED for Little League.
Well, I remember the first time I had caffeine, I was working for my dad, and they had just like a coffee at the office, and I had coffee, and I remember telling somebody, I was like, if I have this every day, I'm going to be able to conquer the world. Like, I can only imagine.
The first time you had coffee?
Oh, I was working for my dad, so probably like 15.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
somewhere
That's
around
about
there.
when I started drinking coffee.
Yeah, but
no, I didn't drink coffee regularly until college. But I would get like a mocha or some sort of like milkshakey drink from Starbucks that had coffee in it.
Yeah.
But that'd be like a Friday afternoon, being like, yeah, we got a night ahead of us. I'm gonna drink this mocha.
I'm gonna drink this milkshake filled with
chocolate chunks and coffee. Let's go.
Now I only drink coffee to alleviate the headache that I got from like withdrawals of not drinking coffee while I was sleeping.
Yeah. Oh,
it doesn't really do anything.
I'm like hungover from being just normal.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't had coffee since
almost
noon
40s.
yesterday.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta figure out the right time.
So, I know we're sort of trying to keep ourselves on schedule. So,
Beavs,
anything else on baseball?
Oh yeah, you guys can't see me because
of my bandwidth sucks. Sorry, and that's why I might even have half this episode where I was talking and it's not in it because I don't know what happened to my. But I don't know expectations for next year. I think same expectations as always. Omaha or bust. Yeah. But what I'm curious about is to see who comes back.
Yeah, me too. I think,
Singer made it pretty clear he's coming back.
Do you think Dax has to come back, right? Because if you go to college, you have to stay there for 2 years, or no?
He could still transfer.
He could transfer.
He could transfer.
So same with Trent.
I would expect Kleinschmidt, but if Dax and Kleinschmidt are both back and not transferring, then you've got to be like, yeah, this is Omaha return for sure. Like, and I think that's
but
the
you
goal.
You lose probably Turley. You think Turley's going to go in the draft?
Yes,
high enough to leave.
Yes,
you do.
Absolutely. I think so. I think he's going to be a first round pick, and I think he should leave.
Clearly, Aiva's gone.
Yeah, Aiva's gone. He's got it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But
and then we'll see.
But if you get Caraway back, Weber's gone too, right? He's a senior.
Yeah,
Weber's a senior. I'm pretty sure.
He might be.
Okay.
I'm trying to think
is he
back.
A senior or a super senior? Like we're into this.
Does he have a year of eligibility?
We still have the COVID. Like I said, I remember saying this in our first episode.
He may still have a COVID year.
Yeah, we're never gonna know.
I mean, Joey Mutt played for like 17 years, so
Joey Mutt is gonna start game 1 in Omaha next year for Oregon State.
Yeah,
I would love. Yeah,
I think you're right though, Jay. Like with Oregon State's baseball program, like that just is an annual expectation of like Omaha
on the recruiting trail. So like, I don't want to, put the.
I mean, all of it can change in the draft, though. Yeah. A kid even that's committed right now could go 4th round, 5th round. Who knows, right? And they might just take the signing bonus and be gone.
Yeah, but I feel good about this coaching staff in place. I feel good about the run that we just put on, and maybe kids making decisions and weighing programs against each other. Like they like, even like Travis Bizzana tweeting out and posting like how special that place is while we win a pretty epic super regional against Florida State. That matters. Yeah. And
it does.
And Gavin talked about that a little bit. That's why I wonder if he's going to run it back. I would not anticipate he does. But something about his comments, actually, it kind of went both ways, I think. There was part of it that was like, he said something like, that's what I'll take away from that place. Well, I'll take with me forever from that place.
Didn't Darwin say, because Darwin was a sophomore when we won in 2006, and he said, okay, I'll come back for my senior year if we go all the way in 2007, which we then did. And he was like, I mean, I've got to go pro. I just got drafted. I just got drafted in the compensatory picks by the Cubs. So he went anyway. And it's like, yeah, of course, no shade to Darwin there, but it's like, yeah, I got a slot where I become a millionaire instantly.
I think baseball's a little different though, and I think we're also jaded by what has happened with basketball. Both men's and women's basketball and football, where you have players that are transferring out because of the situation Oregon State's in. And for as much as baseball's different. Baseball's different.
Baseball's built on the culture, but also we don't really know how next year will look. And neither do the players maybe yet. So they might not.
Here's the thing.
My thought on Turley is entirely because I think he will be picked in the first round or shortly thereafter, and it will actually be the best thing for his career to leave. That's what
fair. Penny, before you finish, let me just add on with Turley to leave this maybe as a cliffhanger, but maybe food for thought. If he does return, is his ceiling high enough that he could be a first overall? I mean,
he's quiet.
It could be.
Did we lose Benny?
No, I'm here.
He's just thinking.
I can't see you. I can't. Normally, if I can see you lean back and shake your head a little bit. I like
this is like blind dating. Dating in the dark. It's like dating in the dark.
Love is blind. Beavs is blind.
Beav is blind.
Beavs is blind.
Oh, new podcast name.
Love is Beav.
I honestly don't know enough to know if he.
Right. I'm in that same boat. I would guess not, just because of how crazy that it to become the number 1 overall pick. But I'm not an MLB draft sicko, so. Sure.
I mean, he's kind of lived up to what his expectations have been most of his Oregon State career.
Because I don't know what do MLB scouts want to see that he hasn't shown yet. So if he's a mid to late to early second round pick now, I don't know what he could do different to change that because he's had a pretty amazing season. So
right, because if you're a Major League Baseball team drafting and you think that he has the talent for if he goes back to Oregon State that he could be the first overall pick, like you would probably draft him, maybe not first overall, but certainly top 10. And I'm not sure he's getting those projections. Actually, I know he's not getting those projections.
Yeah, but most top 10 picks they're not projected top first round even usually the year prior. I mean, they make leaps into that season and throughout the season. And early in the season, especially, is kind of when everyone starts to be like, well, yeah, this guy, he's a top 10 pick. But
if Turley does come back,
Turley doesn't have that talk right now. So it does make me want, but he should. I mean, in what he's been able to do, I think he should be in that conversation. Like, I think it's fair to put him in the conversation. I don't think he's better than, not as, in between that, like 10 to whatever 300 picks that happen. But I do think that his abilities do lend to wonder, like, could that guy be a first overall pick if he expands on them? If he shows that in another year in college? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's not a feasible thing.
And I think that, Turley did not have a bad postseason by any stretch, but I don't think that he shined in the way that he has at Oregon State throughout the season and in past seasons either. And I think he would probably say the same thing. So there might be an element of, if he's on the fence, like an element of wanting to come back and prove something.
Yeah.
But I'll say, like, moving past Turley, I think that, for as much shit as we gave the athletic department for very good reason on a number of different things, I do think that they did a good job in putting together a non-conference or a independent schedule.
Yeah. We got to give them their flowers for this
right
season.
And I do think that carries some weight going into next year, because we're playing independent actually next year, right? Yeah, we're playing independent next year, and then it's the year after we're going into the Pac-12. Okay, so I disregard. I was going to say that non-conference schedule is going to be important, and the athletic department has shown that they can do that. I think that's obviously more relevant for. But you had Dax Whitney too, who turned down, what was it, like a $4.2 million contract signing bonus to go play for the Beavs. So I do think that there's an element of, if a player gets drafted in the third round, let's say, that money is not going to necessarily pull them away from Oregon State. Like, it would almost seem like a foregone conclusion in any other sport at Oregon State.
Yeah. Well, and maybe any school, honestly. When you have two commas involved, like, very few athletes are turning that down.
Yeah,
but
that's
baseball is a different beast, because you could get that money. You can get that money. The likelihood of you falling out of, if you're in that like 2 comma club, right? Like you're already in the $1 million+ signing bonus. The odds of you falling out of that aren't very high. So you're going to get that anyways, but also you're not getting paid like you do in the NBA, especially NBA or NFL. You're not getting paid right away. Like, here's your signing bonus. Now go take your $40,000 a year and go play minor league ball, right? Like, you still have to work anyways. So do you want to work in Corvallis and maybe get, like, I don't know, shortcut to starting in AA or moving up quickly into AAA or onward? Or do you want to take your $4 million or $3 million? I know $1 million is a big gap, but like, you want, either way, you're going to take that and then go into single A ball and then work your way up for the next 5 years. Like,
Well, I think it was on one of the broadcasts of one of the games in Omaha where they were saying, or I heard somewhere where they were saying, like, if you're in essentially minor leagues, not just single A or double A, but like minor leagues in general, you are responsible for your development. Like the coaches there are really just there to put you in the right spots in the games,
or put you in a spot where the big club wants to see you play.
Yes, exactly. But in terms of your development, that's really up to you. Whereas if you stay at a place like Oregon State, who's known to develop good players, I mean, just look how fast Oregon State alumni have moved up, into the major leagues, and how quickly they're able to do that. I mean, it's a culture
look at
of
Kwani.
development.
Kwani's a guy that was not really talked about much in the draft. He was not obviously on the scouts' radar out of high school.
Yeah.
And then now he tore up the Giants this week. I mean, I got to watch it firsthand, and like it just keeps reminding me, like, this guy all he could maybe do was have a glove.
Yeah.
And then developed his bat and kept working on it, and now look at him. I mean, he's easily one of their best hitters, one of the most reliable hitters in baseball.
Well, and the MLB draft is just so hit or miss. I mean, you could have a player that's drafted in the second round that just spends their entire career in the minors. And so development
first
is
round.
huge.
The Twins,
the
Twins do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think
a bunch of people just did the 10-year look back on the 2015 MLB draft, and it did not go great for my favorite Major League Baseball team, despite having some high fucking picks. But yeah, no, we'll see.
It is it's more of a gamble than any other sport to leave college early to go and take the money and go.
Unless you're a bona fide top 3, top 5.
Yeah. Like Aiva, for example.
But he's not
Bazana
leaving early. Bazana really, that's the best example.
Yeah, Bazana for sure. Okay, one thing that I did want to discuss with you guys outside of baseball is this news that Texas State's going to be joining the Pac-12. I think I don't know if they made it official. I don't think they have. But
it's not official, but
it's non-officially official.
It seems pretty damn close, yes.
Yeah. So generally, when you guys sort of heard the rumblings of this most likely happening, just high level, what were your guys' thoughts?
Finally.
Yeah. A little bit of finally. And I'll, the disclaimer of all this, realignment talk is just a reminder that none of us are thrilled about any of this. So when we talk about the positives of Texas State, it's also with respect that I'm not happy that we're raiding the Sun Belt and that there's maybe like ripple effects.
The Fun Belt.
And the fun, exactly. Like, as someone who like loves college football weirdness, like these aren't things that make me happy. The same way when I was like, for years I thought Gonzaga made sense in the Pac-12 before all of this bullshit started, but also I don't want to destroy the WCC. So there's all of that's on the table. Like it's important to be humane in remembering the real effect that this has, especially since us and Wazoo were kind of like the guinea pigs of conferences or whatever being left out to die. So having said that, I remember this coming up sort of when it was apparent that Oregon State and Washington State were going to be in a very, very, very precarious position, and the rest of the world would not give a fuck. That we wouldn't be exactly having a fantasy draft of like, oh, we could just get this team or whatever. In Canzano's piece, multiple Canzano reference for this episode. Congrats, John. He mentioned that game.
You've made it, John.
That Texas State almost won against Arizona State at Texas State in San Marcos. I remember watching that game with the thought that like this is like a team we could be partnered up with in like a very real way sometime soon. and thinking like one, really wanting the Sun Devils to just fucking get some comeuppance here. But also the full nature of the Fun Belt was present in that game. It's a big stadium at a big school in a fun town, smack dab in the middle of Austin and San Antonio. It's not
Both great
perfect.
towns.
It's not both great towns, and I think San Marcos is pretty cool too. Completely unrelated, but back when I was, working at my university job in creative writing programs, Texas State has an incredible creative writing program, and I met some teachers there, and I really liked them. So I feel great about Texas State, also as a institution of higher learning, which isn't important from a athletic standpoint anymore, but who cares? So I'm pleased with it. We needed to add this. I don't think it's the like home run that anyone might have been hoping for, but I don't think that home run really exists in this world. Like the same way I don't think the Big Ten partnering with the SEC is a home run. Like none of this shit is, but you need to make business decisions and build partnerships that make sense. Texas State's president is a full-on cartoon character, and I don't trust any university president. I think most of them are actually like not good people, which is why I'm thrilled with President Murphy, because I think she is a good person. Yeah. These catty fucking backstabbing individuals are the ones who become college presidents. And I think there's a little bit of swag to them. I think there's a little bit of fun that gets injected into the group. I don't think it's necessarily a coup for Texas recruiting, but it also doesn't hurt that we're going to have every 2 years, every 3 years, like a guaranteed football game in Texas. And also when those games happen, they'll be fun. Let's remind ourselves, this is supposed to be fun. And they're as appropriate of a fit as anyone not currently tied to a P4 conference not named UNLV. So they are the most appropriate fit for a school that doesn't believe that they should be somewhere that they're not, which UNLV thinks the Big 12 should pay them like $1 billion to join the Big 12. So whatever. Okay, good. Godspeed, UNLV.
I think they're still holding out hope for the Big 10 too, which is just crazy talk.
Right. It's all crazy talk, and I think this is not crazy and just decent business. And see you in San Marcos. So, and it just like it fills that spot where we need to have another all sports participant.
Yeah.
And at this, so let's get that done so we can cross off that box and keep moving forward. And so I'd say pleased is the adequate word for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that Texas State reminds me a little bit of sort of what we're seeing with Sacramento State, obviously at a much grander scale, but another school who jumped up from FCS relatively recently. I think it's been 7 or 8 years now, but jumped up from FCS, has had some success in FBS, but they're having a lot of money poured into that program. Absolutely. And I think that program's only going to continue to get better. I don't know if you've seen their stadium, but it is beautiful.
Right.
It's a gorgeous stadium. And I agree with you that, this being good for recruiting. I mean, maybe a little bit if you can tell a kid in Texas, hey, we're going to be playing in your home state once every 2 years.
Hurt.
But
it doesn't guarantee.
I don't think it moves
our
the
Texas
needle
pipeline
much,
is better, but it at least gives the coaches like an organizational understanding. It's like, okay, we'll have these dates in Texas for the next like 3, 6, 9 years off and on, whenever it happens, and they can plan around that.
Well, and yeah, I think if you're looking at it from a strategical point of view, what's much more relevant is this gets you a footprint in further east. It's going to be by quite a bit that this is going to be the school furthest to the east, and
Central
so
time,
that
baby.
makes Central Time. So
I appreciate
that makes
that.
it more enticing. That makes it more enticing for schools like Tulane or Memphis to potentially come on board. Now, I'm not saying Texas State is going to be the school that swings them from right, but I think that if you can convince Memphis and Tulane to leave the American, which again, with respect to the other teams in the American, I don't want to tear other conferences apart, but looking at it from a Pac-12 perspective, if you can convince both of those schools to come, then all of a sudden you have three schools that are somewhat close to each other, and you can develop a schedule sort of around that. So
this at least pushes the needle forward in a possible Tulane and Memphis in football only narrative, which seems to be of great interest to the Pac-12 presidents who don't want to send their Olympic sports that far east that often. So that could be a thing too.
Yeah, and I think that Texas State just reminds me of a stock that you buy low that has a lot of potential to
very low risk
and very low risk. But I mean, big potential with them.
Right.
Well, and I don't think that should be lost. I don't think that they're just another school that would, I mean, to a certain extent, they were just that school that fit into that 8th spot, which we needed. But I honestly think that has a potential to be a bigger get than UNLV. And here's what people don't realize about UNLV is that
been a shit show for 50 years.
It has been a shit show. They are in Las Vegas.
Yes.
But having a school in Las Vegas, I don't know if that's the most important thing. I mean, it hasn't really helped out the Mountain West, right? Like UNLV being in the Mountain West because they're in Vegas doesn't really help them out. And I don't they used to be the only team in town. But now you have the Raiders, you're going to have baseball, you have hockey, you're going to have the NBA.
The Las Vegas Aces.
The Las Vegas Aces, they're not near the top of the sports entertainment business in Las Vegas.
Outside of a stretch in the early 90s, they didn't capitalize on that as an institution at all. We were proponents of the Pac-12, the Pac-12 as we knew it in 2021, adding UNLV to be like, hey, no matter what you feel about sports gambling, it's part of it. And the Pac-12 needs to find an advantage, and it can plant its flag in Vegas much easier than any other conference can. And I think it would have been advantageous for them to do it then. I'm glad you brought up Sacramento State. And a few episodes ago, I said Sacramento State will be in the Pac-12 at some point. I'm glad it's not now, because I do think there's money and energy and interest being poured into Sacramento State across sports. Shit still needs to be worked out for that to be a Pac-12 school. Like, the money that's coming in needs to translate into actual development. Like, they're a nightmare in men's basketball right now. And we're talking about one of the things about this new chapter of the Pac-12, we're like, oh, sneaky good basketball conference. Maybe that could get Memphis in. Sacramento State is the opposite end of that spectrum right now. Based on the on-court product and the actual court that they play in. And I know that they almost hired Michael Vick to run their football program, but they still didn't hire Michael Vick. So it's still, Sacramento State really needs to be treated with very, very heavy wait and see glasses.
Yeah.
And Mountain West told them no.
The Mountain West told them no. And they should have. And Texas State, just you know what you're getting. And it's fun. It's maybe the funnest team in the Fun Belt. And that stadium is sick. It's a growing university as well.
They have 40,000 undergrads.
Yeah. And as schools like I think like Texas, the Longhorns. When I say Texas, the Texas Longhorns keep like kind of growing outside of the state of Texas. Like they'll still be huge. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not. This is not trying to give this a hot take, but I think there's like a local angle of what Texas State is doing. I think they appeal to the Latino fan base or like demographic in that community more than any school has really tried to. Maybe outside of UTSA. I'm not qualified enough to speak on that, but definitely I think has a bit more like grassroots, like we are part of this community kind of thing than the Longhorns, who are just trying to be the Silicon Valley in the Central Time Zone at this point. So it's a good time to add Texas State, and it fills the need that you need in an all sports participating member. So yeah, I think it makes total sense. Let's sign them up so we can finally stop fucking guessing about this.
That's
just
the key.
moving.
I think Texas State is where Sacramento State would love to be in like 7 or 8 years. Yeah. And here's the other thing, just going back to UNLV for a second. I think if you look at like, I love Las Vegas a lot. And it would be fantastic to be able to go down there. It's still an open invite
for them, for me.
Yeah.
Despite everything I said,
for sure. But if you look at it from a perspective of like watching it on TV, do you want to see Oregon State play in front of 20,000 people in a 80,000 capacity stadium? Or do you want to see them play in, I think
we did that at the Vegas Bowl, Betty, and 19,000 of those fans were Beaver fans and the other 1,000 were sad Florida fans.
That's true.
It was great.
There is not much in sports that is as deflating as seeing a stadium that is way too big for the fan base of the team that's playing there. Look at MLS.
The 1999 right? Major League Soccer.
Yeah. So, but, and like you look at Texas State and there's just so much excitement within that program right now. And they've done so much to get themselves to where they are. And if you just see that progress, like, that is a good get. I really am convinced that is a good get for the Pac-12. Yeah. So it allows you to build on top of it now. Like now you have your foundation built, and I think now you can sort of take a step back, reset, and come up with an action plan of, okay, how are we going to make this conference better? And not just how are we going to get this conference to a point where we're like a recognized conference, you know? So I think it's good for the Pac-12 for sure.
Jay, you were in and out a little bit there. Is there anything that you wanted to add? I'm not sure how much you heard or didn't hear, but I think you get the gist.
Oh, yeah, the gist has been gotten. Other than I don't know what kind of editing nightmare I have ahead of me now that I've been kicked off.
This might be bad. Times. This might be really bad, bro. I'm so sorry.
All right.
Well, so
that's all that I had, guys. Do you guys have anything else to add? That's it. We're well past. Well, not well past. No. We're past the hour mark.
No,
there you go. I drank. You guys can't see this, but I drank a swanky but danky West Coast IPA tonight.
Oh,
nice. I drank a North Star Cream Ale again that I stole from work.
Now you're on record.
Stealer, you thief.
I know. We did crush UCLA in the Jello shot board. And we were beating Louisville beat us in Jello shots because they beat us in baseball. That extra day.
They had an extra day.
Is what did it. I think Murray State did fine, probably better than we thought of. Ja Morant did not bat leadoff, unfortunately. But yeah, I think, I'm not going to be glued to the couch to watch LSU Coastal in the finals. But I do think I think it's a good final matchup for college baseball. I'm not mad at it. We talked about SEC fans being annoying. I was sitting next to like the nicest, funniest LSU fans on my flight down there, and everyone I ran into in LSU gear was just like so fun. And I think SEC as an institution is annoying as shit. and I hate how proud of their conference everyone individually is. But you get them away from that, then it's just like they just want to party. Like I had so much. LSU won for sure. I didn't run into that many Arkansas fans. There's a couple times where I was like walking through the concourse like towards an Arkansas fan, and we like made eye contact, and I just like wanted to dare them to talk about 2018. And that didn't happen. I didn't want to fight anybody. But I met good fans on both from LSU and Coastal, and I think they're both fun teams, and they're fan bases that will drink a lot of Jell-O shots and party. So I think the spirit of college baseball is alive in this final. Again, not sure how many innings, if any, I'll watch of it, but I hope everyone who's there has fun. And yeah, I hope that's us next year. And I won't be surprised if it is.
I think that SEC pride that we get annoyed by, and I will be a big man here and admit that sometimes I'm envious of.
Of course.
And I really am.
Jake's a big man to admit anything, and I am that big man.
Pride is what's ruined college athletics.
I know. Conference pride you're envious of the situation.
The Pac-12, I think the Pac-12 is going to have that. I really do. I think there is a unique set of circumstances that tied all these schools together, and I think there's a bond there that people don't realize yet.
And that didn't exist.
But we don't need it. Root for your team. You play in a conference, you root for your team.
Root for your team. Stop rooting for the nameless suit that is going to make money off of whatever TV deal. The next person who flexes to me about a TV deal or a salary cap move is getting hit in the face. I'm so sick of sports fans now are terrible. Like, let's just say everyone sucks.
Hey, you were just talking about how the sports fans were awesome where you were
Well, that's in Omaha.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that if Boise State is playing in a bowl game, I'm going to be cheering for Boise State actively.
Okay.
If Texas State is in a bowl game,
but you also drank and vaped a lot in Boise, famously. Yeah, that had a great.
Yeah, it's true.
Very much did.
Benny Boise.
You made the thumbnail.
Benny Boise. Ben loves Boise, not as much as he loves El Paso, but that's because that's impossible.
That is impossible.
We had a great time in Boise, and also that was another thing too about the like fuck corporate things. Like, there's so many fans in Boise who are like, fuck yeah, let's do this Pac-12 thing. Like, we can't wait to be
That's what I'm saying is there is something.
It was fun
there.
And that was something that was fun, but that was also, I feel like, created through stupid fucking circumstances that never should have come to pass. So it's a little bit different than being like,
root for your team that plays in the conference.
Yeah, right. I like, if you're a fucking Arkansas fan and you're cheering for LSU now, then I just question everything you hold dear. Like, you should be cheering against these bastards.
But being an SEC fan versus being a Pac-12 fan is...
I know, we're all on the same page. You just mentioned envious in regards to what the SEC does, and that's what JP and I took issue with. But we know what you're saying. We know what you're saying.
Took issue with.
Yeah,
we took issue.
I want you dead now, Ben.
What we took issue with, you fucking asshole.
Yeah,
you bag of shit.
Yeah,
no, those are strong words.
Sleep with your eye open.
I said was. I said envious. Anyway, the SEC is just still trying to steal our decals and whatever. This has been episode 184 of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast, a weird one because I can't see either of my beloved co-hosts. A challenge. Different. I feel like I'm just on the phone with you guys. Like, this is
conference call.
This is three-way calling from 2002.
Yeah.
Just when you thought we couldn't be more millennial.
It looks like we're talking to each other. Pretend. You get to pretend.
It does. It does. God, you guys are handsome. You look so goddamn good right now.
Phone calls.
Podcasts really are just phone calls that we publish publicly.
It's true.
What's a podcast? Oh, it's a phone call that you can download off the internet. And your parents are like, why the fuck would I care about that? And it's like, well, that's a great question. And there is no answer, but people are here.
We're trying to provide that answer.
Podcast is actually an acronym for phone on demand calls, all shit
ass
talk.
Shit titties.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here for that.
I'm not nearly as clever as I was last week.
Not for the shit.
I was in a different zone.
Where are the bars, Terry?
I'm tired.
Come on.
I'm sad. We got eliminated, guys. I do have the James Blunt "Goodbye My Lover" lyrics pulled up that I was going to reference, maybe do a dramatic reading at one point, but I'm just not going to do that now because I feel like I covered it organically. But thank you for listening and viewing. I think maybe this episode will be available maybe this is the episode that finally breaks us and this podcast just dies a fiery death. Just for the rest of the summer, though, we'll be back to talk. Yeah, we'll be back to completely contradict ourselves when UNLV is added to the Pac-12 in 3.5 weeks. And
great ad. Wanted them the
Such
whole
a good
time.
Ad. Have you seen their stadium? It is so nice,
dude. Allegiant Stadium is where you want to play weekly. But thank you again to Beaver Baseball and to Mitch Canham, and shout out again to the Oregon State Athletic Department for taking a pretty significant bet on yourself to play this independent schedule. We don't agree with you on everything, but we give flowers where they're earned. And this season, it really worked out. And we're not the ones winning the final game of the season, but God damn it, there were some great moments. And we played like ballers and we played like Beavers. And it's a team that Beaver fans can pretty easily be proud of. And I was happy to see the team back in Omaha for sure. And shout out to you, Mitchie Slick. This was a hell of a ride. Episode 184, Belligerent Beavs Podcast.
Also,
we may or may not be taking a little bit of a break, but we will be back. Don't worry, you guys. And
tune in next week to find out.
If nothing happens for a while, we'll probably just be like, hey, we're bored. Let's record an episode and talk about Breaking Bad. Like it's 2008. And
I'll tell all the ghost stories about my house.
Oh, I still get creeped out by your ghost stories.
Or maybe I'll watch. I don't know if all of us doing a single rewatch of a show is in the cart. Benny, if you watch Breaking Bad, I'll watch Mad Men.
Wait, you have already seen Breaking Bad.
I've seen Breaking Bad.
I'll watch Breaking Bad.
Have you seen Mad Men? No, you couldn't do Mad Men.
No.
But JP's done both. JP has done both. JP's done it all, as is basically what happens on this podcast. So we'll talk offline about that. Maybe develop some ideas for summer content challenges. But thank you for rocking with us for another great academic year. All of the events are done. All of the sports seasons are over. But when one door closes, another opens, and we can't wait to see what Oregon State Athletics has in store for us in 2025, 2026. It's going to be sick. There will be great moments, thrill of victory, agony defeat, and everything in between. And we'll be here to talk about all of it. And also probably occasionally this summer as well. So we're not planning or promising anything to keep you on your toes, dear listener. My name is Terry Horseman, at Terry Horseman on Twitter, Blue Sky, a bunch of other places, and at Terrence Horseman on Instagram.com. Ooh, I think Bridgerton's coming back sometime soon. That's going to be fucking tight. Can't wait. Anyway, I'm joined as I always am by my two best friends from college, Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Weehage, a.k.a. Benny with the good quaff, a.k.a. Benny Boise. Haven't said that one in a while. A.k.a. Benny Bedlam, because he's fucking crazy, folks. A.k.a. Benny Blastoff, a.k.a. Benny Burner, a.k.a. Benny Bowl Game, and a bunch of other nicknames. You can find him at Benny L 1986 across social media channels. And the man, the myth, the legend, who probably has a very challenging editing lift ahead of him now because of the goddamn internet in goddamn Arnold, California. JP Bertram. He's at the Trio J on Twitter. That's at the _Trio_J because he's too trio. to be real. And at JP Bertram on Instagram.com. And follow the whole show, for gosh darn sakes, at Belligerent Beavs on Twitter, at Belligerent Beavs everywhere else. That means Facebook, Blue Sky, MySpace, Friendster, Red Note, TikTok,
Twitch,
and Nintendo Switch 2, Backyard Baseball 1997 app.
So much
at
fun.
Belligerent Beavs on Mario Kart World. I don't think that works that way, but I'm just saying it anyway. Just type Belligerent Beavs into any search bar anywhere, and you shall find us. BelligerentBeavs.com. BelligerentBeavs.com/merch. Buy a goddamn Goss Got 'em shirt just to celebrate this team. Even Goss did get them. Omaha didn't get them, but Goss got them. So buy a shirt, or if you don't buy a Goss Got 'em shirt, it means you hate Oregon State, and we will tell Mitch Canham that. So that's your call to action for this week. But thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again sometime in the future, and until then, dear faithful Beaver fam, we love you so. Remember, no matter what they do, no matter what they say, no matter what they take away, that they cannot spell ChopEm without hope. So, ChopEm!
ChopEm!
He's back, baby.
Back the pack, baby.